Good morning. So really, like, if you want to live in accordance with nature, I always say you have to first understand nature. How can you live in accordance with nature if you don't understand nature? And that's the first thing. And the second thing is you have to understand your own nature. Because when you're living in accordance with your own nature and you're doing what you're created to do, you will be happy. And that's sort of what I was talking about yesterday, like that you can start looking at your own characteristic traits, like bearing in mind that you are a part of nature and cannot be separate from nature. And then you can start saying, like, we're all individuals. Well, what different forms my energy have taken within the transformations of the universe coming down a certain line, remembering that the universe is combined of binary opposites. So rather than just say, like, if you're an old soul, you might have taken several different life forms. So then you have to ask yourself, am I more of a cat or a dog? Am I more of a pigeon or an eagle? Am I more of a goat or a sheep? And a distinction ought to be made there between goats and sheep. Like, we all know who the sheep are. We all know, are you a horse or a pig? We all know who the pigs are. Well, maybe we don't all know who the pigs are, but we don't call them pigs for no reason. If you think about it, we don't call them pigs for no reason. And then it extends up past this as well. These are the people, like, who have, if you want to know who the pigs are, read Orwell's Animal Farm, and that'll give you an idea of the different roles. And you can then identify these roles in society. But Orwell didn't pull that out of his arse. Do you understand? Philosophy is not pulled out of your arse. It's if it was, it doesn't go anywhere. It's not widely read because it's not meant to be. It's just bullshit. But Orwell's Animal Farm is not bullshit. It's a narrative that if you look at and interpret it correctly, it'll explain nature to you, and then you can identify who the sheep are, who the pigs are, who the horses are, who the cows are. But it's not hard. Who the eagles are, who the owls are, who the pigeons are. Pigeons fly in flocks. Pigeons fly in flocks. Eagles fly alone, but pigeons aren't renowned for intelligence either. And as I say, at the dawn of the dusk, the owl of Minerva spreads its wings. And you can start to see all nature in humanity. And then you can start to realise that we are a part of nature and cannot be separate from it. And this is the big mistake that psychology make. But maybe it's not a mistake, maybe it's fully intentional. But they want to see you as a thing in itself. And then they don't give a fuck about your nature. They just want you to conform to their ideals. And this is looking to get the honey badger to conform and behave as a koala bear, rather than not to traumatise the koala bear. But they are a collaboration of weak individuals, because if you look at the inversion of the hierarchies, so Christianity overcoming the Romans would have been the biggest inversion of the hierarchies. The French Revolution was an inversion of the hierarchies. Stalin was an inversion of the hierarchies. Hitler was the Holocaust was an inversion of the hierarchies. We won't be ruled by the pound. But that was an inversion of the hierarchies. Now you can start to get an idea who the pigs are and why they don't eat pork. I don't eat red meat because it gives me trouble in my hands. Cannibalism. But you can take what you like in that regard. But basically, basically you can choose what to believe or not believe. But the reason I'm telling you this is so you can start to look at your individual characteristics and understand that you can't change your nature. You can't change your nature. But what you can change is your values in relation to your nature. That's what you can change. And this will impact on your gene expression. And then when you're thinking about the whole the animal traits, the lower animal traits, that you might possess, you can also contemplate the fact that you're not only a culmination of your own conceptual experiences, but you're a culmination of your ancestors' conceptual experiences, because how they respond to their environment and how they respond or react to their environment, to the different external events and their internal events, and because they're two sides of the same coin, impacts on their gene expression. And this is basically a succession of thesis, antithesis and synthesis. So you're a synthesis of several other theses and antithesis. But this is when you start to understand dialectics, you can begin to understand all nature. And a good place to start is thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. So you be a synthesis of your parents. You be a synthesis of a binary opposite. To put a simple spin on it, God and the devil. But really, if we start to break down this concept, Lilith, who would be the original she-demon, was banned out of the Garden of Eden for not conforming, not complying with Adam's wishes, for not doing as he, for not doing as she was told, basically, non-conforming. Lucifer the same, not conforming to God's wishes, so get out the fuck. You know what I mean? That's grand, out the fuck. Cain the same. He didn't conform to the rules. Yeah, he killed his brother, and he was sent to walk the earth, and he built cities, and he got involved in all sorts, but that were not in line with say the rules. He broke all the rules. But this is another binary opposite. And if you begin to understand nature, this is another binary opposite. Order and chaos. This is the universe. Order and chaos. Order and chaos. This is free will. The universe is determined. Free will. The universe life is determined. But basically, with your free will, if you use your free will properly, you can determine the nature of change. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. Now, other people will tell you the universe is determined, and they're passive faitalists. But they're on the opposite as me. They're the people that say, as respect for all life. Whereas I say, all nature cannibalizes itself. This is a binary opposite. So you can start to make an interpretation of the opposites. Now, then when you start to look at your own nature in this way, and you start to say, well, what is my nature? And you start to seek to understand nature, and this is the purpose of philosophy. Because when you understand nature, you will better understand yourself. And when you understand yourself, you can easier change yourself in accordance with nature. But as I say, the wrong way to do that is go to war with nature, because that's not a battle you're going to win. That's not a battle you're going to win. It should be in accordance with nature. So then if we think about the things that stops us living in accordance with our own nature and in accordance with nature, it's very largely our opinions and the perceptions of others. And this is why in Stoicism we say the first thing you must overcome is the fear of death. And the second thing then is the perception of others. The perception of others, because this will seriously inhibit your fucking life. And this will cause you to suppress aspects of your nature, which is going to cause you to be depressed, and it's going to cause you to be anxious, and it's going to cause you stress, which will impact on your gene expression and cause all sorts of genetic conditions. Asthma, cancer, Maria, you have them all. But the opinions of others. The opinions of others. For example, I say, the man that's afraid to drink too much can't be trusted to do so. And the reason he's afraid to drink too much is because, I remember, sometimes I used to go to old raves, and as one girl said to me one time, every time I look at you, you're putting mud in your mouth. And I used to get twisted into a right Egypt. But for this, I used to go to different raves in different towns in different parts of the country. Because when you do it in your own town, when you get twisted into an Egypt in your own town, you have to suffer what they call the fear, you know what I mean? Oh, you're lying in the bed thinking about what everything you did, and a flashback about everything you did, and what people must think, and oh, you made a fool of yourself, you made a cunt of yourself. And these opinions are what's causing the fucking hangover, and these opinions are what's causing the depression, and these opinions is causing you to act in what others deem to be a socially acceptable manner, even though they're miserable themselves. Acting in this socially acceptable manner. The confines, the parameters that are placed upon you by a society of weak individuals. But if you don't give a fuck about the perceptions of others, and you change your opinions in relation to yourself, for example, if you understand yourself and you understand your own nature, and you laugh at it, like if you give me an acid tablet, I'll go. The last time I took an acid tablet here, I went out and traumatized the whole town. And people said to me, it was one lad's birthday, and he said to me, oh, you made a right cunt of yourself last night, And I said, did I? I said, did your birthday not go as planned? Did you have a bad night? I didn't have a bad night, I had a great night. And I laughed at. Because they need the suffering. People need the suffering. I can unravel the ambiguities of it, but I can unravel the ambiguities of every single action I did. Because I say, if I'm on acid, I'm even more in control of myself, because there is no ego. There is no ego. You know what I mean? And I laugh at it. I most certainly won't get disturbed by it or feel in any way embarrassed or ashamed. But in saying that, I remember one time, I went for a few drinks with a couple of women and another lad. And I think your man got jealous, you know, because we're getting on well with the women, but we went out for a bit of a dance, because I had a few drinks and women like to dance. So I get out and dance. I'm not a dancer. But the same as I'm not a singer, but that doesn't mean I won't sing. I'm not a dancer, but that doesn't mean I won't dance. So I got out to dance, and I was in work the next night because I used to do security in a casino at the time. I was in the work next night. Next thing I was scrolling through Facebook, as you do. And next thing I see myself fucking dancing on the fucking dance floor, and I said, my God. Well, the guilt and the shame that came over me, and the anger. I was nearly going to leave work and drive home and pull your man out of bed and kick him around the garden. And I just said to myself, I tell you, it took me a while to cool down. It took me the rest of the night to cool down anyway. But what caused all this anger, this guilt, this shame, over a fucking dance? Over a fucking dance. Like I said, I can't dance, but basically, what was causing all the embarrassment? My opinions in relation to the perceptions of others. And this is what was causing me all the disturbance. My fucking opinions. And when you seek to understand yourself and you seek to understand nature and you learn not to give two fucks about the perceptions of others, not two fucks. And for this I had to walk around Turkey barefoot. I had to behave like a honey badger. I had to learn not to give a fuck about the perceptions of others. But of course, there's an academic hierarchy, which a self-appointed authority on what's socially acceptable behaviour and what's normal and abnormal, and they make these rules and parameters of what is deemed normal and abnormal and what is socially acceptable behaviour and what is not. This is psychiatry and the judicial system. And we could nearly throw in psychology as well with all the rules of this is how you behave in a manner to become successful. This is how you behave in a manner that people will like you. This is how you behave in this circumstance, but this is what's causing you to be fucking miserable, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's what's creating their own customers. Do you understand? This is what Peterson's doing with all his rules and getting you to conform in a manner that is not in alignment with your nature. They're creating their own customers. Do you understand? Creating their own customers. This is, and the illusion of success is the best one. This is the one I see all the time. This is how you become successful. This is how you become successful. Walk like this, talk like this. If you're a dog, get up on your back legs and walk. Do you know what I'm saying? I think I've made my point. Yeah, I think I've made my point. But basically, I'm saying start to look at yourself in a different light, that you're a part of nature and cannot be separate from nature, and start to look at yourself in this light, and fuck them and their expectations and their parameters of what is and is not socially acceptable behaviour, and basically don't be afraid to be insane, and start learning to overcome the perceptions of others. If I didn't overcome the perceptions of others, I most certainly couldn't make these videos. And then I couldn't achieve my full potential, because this is my work, this is my role. I could do what seems to be very, people who reach a certain stage of I hate the word enlightenment, I hate that word. A certain level of awareness. They seem to spend an awful lot of time in the fucking bed, and I can't understand this at all. And now I can understand this, because they're confined into this rigid set of parameters, these rules, these what it is to be a good person, You know what I'm saying? And to be a good person, according to the rules. Doesn't matter about your nature. You have to conform to the rules. What it is to be a good person. And this is why they're lying inside it. Well, they spend an awful lot of time in the bed, nearly all day in the fucking bed. What sort of a waste of an existence is that? And then I realised that some people who pretend to have no ego, when you come away from a rehearsed narrative, when you come home away with a repetitive and rehearsed narrative, you find they have a lot more ego than I thought they had, and that they think they have a lot more ego. And basically I've come to the conclusion yesterday that you can't have the human beginnings and be devoid of feelings. Not possible. Unless, of course, you're severely depressed. Then you will be devoid in feelings, but that's a feeling, isn't it? That's a feeling. that in itself is a feeling. You might have no other feeling or be divided feelings, but this is a feeling. Bye, I may go, my time's up. See you.